Hello, guys. Welcome back. I really like talking to you guys. It's meaningful to me. Tonight, I am drinking some cherry liqueur. Is it cherry brandy? I don't know what it is. It's Polish. Lakaslochava. Anyway, it's a super cold night here in the Ottawa Valley. I was out for a walk and had an okay day. Now, here's a topic that I've been thinking about quite a bit on and off the last few years. Now, for those who don't know, I'm writing a science fiction book right now. Its operating title is Moon Farmer. Okay, it's fun to write, and although I never consider myself a science fiction author per se, I like writing in different genres, and since Star Wars was my childhood, Star Trek was probably my young adulthood. My father was a scientist, and he raised us to love science fiction. I'm not in science, but let's see, two of my daughters are. I love science, but am definitely not have no accomplishments in that field. Just my imagination. I'm a humanist, I suppose, and so I always think about the human condition in whatever setting we find ourselves in, and it's something that's what I do in terms of my study of history. I think about humanity in different social contexts, cultural contexts. Okay, so here's my thought today. We're we're Humanity is in crisis, and I think the crisis is it's a spiritual crisis. When suicide and discontent grow in inverse proportion to the difficulty of our lives, we have to ask ourselves about that. I think the simplest thing is simply to say we're doing humanity wrong. Back in the old days, way, way, way in the past, all literature comes from leisure. Who was the famous Catholic writer who said that? Is it Piper or Pfeiffer or something? Leisure is the basis of culture. Um, Only the rich, the wealthy, the people with free time ever wrote books, right? Or produced art. Uh, and that makes sense because most people spend most of their lives farming. 100 years ago, 90% of us were farmers. I don't know if you have any farmers in your family. My mother did a bit of farming in the summers. She would go to her uncle's farm to work, who's my great uncle. Um, but Nowadays, what? A very small proportion of people farm. I know some farmers, animal husbandry or agriculture, because I live in the country. And some do it seriously, some do it less than seriously, and do it as a supplement to their income or whatever. But a very small percentage of Canadians, the biggest job in North America right now is truck driving. Shout out to the truck driving to the truckers, the protesters the last couple of years. They're my heroes. Um, but with the advent of AI technology for truck driving, which we're on the cusp of, I think you're going to find a very significant economic shift soon that will be reminiscent of the agricultural revolution a century ago. So, truck driving is the number one job in North America. I can't tell you what percentage of people drive trucks, But certainly, even in my area here, which is a forestry area, trucks are everywhere, just full of huge pines and spruce and so on. And imagine all those people suddenly being put out of work because Elon has perfected automatic trucks. It's not really that complicated when you think about it, driving a truck. You can certainly set up enough safety parameters that it becomes a quite a safe line of work, safe operation. Now, here's the fundamental question: is this a good thing for humanity, or is this a bad thing for humanity? It's always been the case that when we talk about technology, we talk about freeing man from labor. Now, that's a double edged sword. Cherry liqueur. Um, we know that work is good for people. Of the three pillars of Benedictine monastic life, ora et labora, I guess two pillars, and then ora is prayer, labora is work. And study was considered a form of prayer. And I guess your day was divided into three things: prayer, work, and sleep, right? So if we take work away, we're taking away something fundamental to human experience and to human well-being. So work is important and good, um, but that doesn't mean that freeing ourselves from menial labor has to be a bad thing. Um, Working in a factory, working with a hoe, weeding for 12 hours a day in the scorching sun versus having a good workout at the air conditioned gym, playing a game of soccer with friends, going for a swim. Those are different forms of physical activity. One's excruciating and debilitating. People who work for a living always have bad backs, for instance, bad knees, people in the military have bad hearing, PTSD, and so on. So these things are hard on the body. Um, if trucks become self-driving and truckers don't have to drive, are their lives better or worse? Here's the thing. Why would we do it if it made the world worse? You say, well, the plutocrats are just amassing more and more wealth. Like you go to McDonald's and you use the automatic teller thing to order your food. It puts people out of work. But why does it have to put them out of work in a sense of meaningful life? I think, I mean, join me in thinking about this. How does freeing humanity from menial labor, shouldn't that be a good thing? And how do we make it a good thing? People who don't have jobs today feel like losers. Believe me, believe me. Um, if you're not making a meaningful contribution to society and it's not in some way being acknowledged, you feel like you feel unfulfilled. You feel like a loser. You feel like a leech on society. But isn't this the point of technology? To make life better, to make life easier, to free us from necessity so that we can do what we want to do. I always think about the Greeks. I think it dates back to Homer's description of Achilles' shield, which depicts the gods as free from necessity. So games are about freedom. You don't play games like soccer or whatever because you have to. No, it's I shouldn't say pointless recreation, but it's recreation for its own sake. How do we change society so that we make recreation for its own sake meaningful? Isn't this the point of technology? Please join me in thinking about this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do we change the world so that the truckers, just like the farmers a century ago, have meaningful lives despite the absence of menial labor? If you could free humanity from menial labor, how is life still meaningful? I would love to hear your input on that one. Thanks, guys.